This is the first lesson of Unit 6, our first unit done away from home here at Hickman High School. This is Algebra 1B with Mr. Bechtel. So in this unit, we are learning about quadratics. They are a type of equation, just like we learned about linear equations in the past. Quadratics have their own rules and equations, and we're going to look today at the forms that quadratic equations can take. We're going to focus on those different shapes. So our objectives: we want to identify the form of a quadratic equation and its key features. That's something we're going to do a little bit later on. First, though, we want to identify the key features of a quadratic function from the graph. When we talk about different types of functions, we want to find those key features because they tell us a lot about our graph at a glance. So our key terms here: a quadratic. We saw in our polynomial unit that a polynomial with the highest exponent of 2 is a quadratic. So if we had something like x squared, that highest exponent there is a 2, so it is quadratic. The shape of a graph that's a quadratic is a parabola. So a parabola is a U-shaped line. They're made by quadratic equations. I'll use that word a lot when I'm describing the shape here. The next key term is vertex. That's the highest or lowest point on a line. We'll see that at the bottom of the U or the top, depending on how it's shaped. And then finally, symmetry. It's a line of reflection going through the middle of a shape. That's the symmetry. Key features. So again, a quadratic function makes a shape called the parabola. It's that U-shaped graph. And it has several key features we want to look out for. When we look at these graphs, we want to describe those key features. So let's take a look at some examples. We've got 3 different parabolas here. Each of these is a different quadratic equation. We're going to identify the key features for each one. If you're on your laptop at home taking notes along with me, you can do all the same things I'm about to do. Make sure you've got the draw tool turned on. I'd recommend keeping your left thumb up here, so long as you're right-handed, so you can turn these features on and off as you go, and you can draw using your right finger. I'm just using my stylus here, which does make it a little bit easier, but I'm not using a mouse or anything else fancy to do this. So we're going to use 2 fingers to zoom in. First thing I want to find, X-intercepts. X-intercepts happen where the graph meets the x-axis, which I've just drawn in red. I see a point here and here. That is -1 and +3. You can just leave those x-intercepts like so, but the proper notation would be as an ordered pair. So we would say x and then y. -1, 0, and 3, 0. Those are the 2 x-intercepts. So we look for the y-intercept. It's where it crosses the y-axis. That's here at the top. Again, the y-axis goes up and down. So we're looking for where it crosses the graph there. That's going to be at 1.5. It's between the 1 and the 2, so we say it's 0.5. So we have 0, 1.5. If you just tell me 1.5, that is okay, though technically it would be an ordered pair. Vertex, that's the highest or lowest point on a graph. We see the vertex right here. Make sure you find the x and the y coordinate. X coordinate is 1. The y coordinate is 2. Is this vertex a maximum or a minimum? Well, we see that it is at the highest point on the graph, so it is a maximum. The line of symmetry. The line of symmetry is going to go through our vertex. I'm going to draw the line of symmetry here in purple. It is a vertical line that goes through the vertex. It's always going to share the x coordinate. So this line of symmetry is x equals 1. We get that from the vertex's x coordinate. And then lastly, which direction does this parabola open? The 2 ends of the parabola continue to go downwards, so this parabola opens down. So there are all the key features for this parabola. We see the x-intercepts, we see the y-intercept, the vertex, and the line of symmetry, which is connected, and then the direction that the parabola goes. Let's go through the next one a little bit more quickly. X-intercepts. We're looking for where it crosses the x-axis, which is right here. So it crosses at -6 and -2. The proper notation is to list these as an ordered pair, where we give the x and the y coordinate. Remember, the y coordinate on this line is 0. Next, we want to find the y-intercept. So if we look at this graph, we see the y-axis goes vertically, and I see a line where they cross, or a point where they cross right there. That's going to be at 3. So again, you can just put 3. The proper notation gives that x coordinate of 0. Next, we have the vertex. The vertex is the highest or the lowest point. If we zoom out, we can very easily see this is a low point right here. We need to give the x coordinate of -4 and the y coordinate of -1. When we list this out, make sure your x goes first, -4 and then -1. Is this point in green a maximum or a minimum? It's the lowest point on the graph, and low tells us it is a minimum. That brings us to the line of symmetry. The line of symmetry goes through the vertex. It cuts the graph in half. So if we see this purple line here, it's cutting that U-shaped graph in half. Oh, I just pressed OK. So that is the line of symmetry. And again, it goes through this x coordinate here. X equals -4. Opens up or opens down, we have to look at the ends of the arrows. This keeps going up, so it opens up. Why don't you all try number 3 on your own? Try to find those key features. Be careful with those x-intercepts. I will warn you, the x-intercepts here are a little bit tricky. In the next video, I will show you the different forms and identify the key features that they each show.